Good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Writer's Backpack, where we ramble on about stuff and hope that you get something out of it. And offer you really clear tools that are going to help you in your daily writing practice.
You know, it's funny. I always say all the random things, all the seemingly random things that you actually want to pack in your bag to write. Because like writing kind of feels like that, right? It feels like, yeah, you don't need like a tool belt that has 5 things on it. You actually need a tool belt that has like 50 things on it. And then it's like having a button box, like when you're looking for the right button for your oh my gosh, people may not even have button boxes anymore. I'm just thinking of that. Like, do people even sew buttons anymore? Like, do you collect buttons? I still do.
Not in a box, but yeah.
Do you know what do you know that which I speak of though, the
Yeah,
button
yeah,
box?
yeah, yeah. My mom had a button box.
Right? Because when you lose a button and you put a new button on, you go to the button box and go, which one matches? Aw.
What does this have to do with writing, Tina?
It's about having all the buttons. Like it's
Mm.
seemingly random, but it's not. It's like having all the tools you need.
Is a button a metaphor for a word, or is it
Sure.
bigger than that?
Ah, I think in this instance, we were talking about the tools you need, the seemingly random tools you need to write. And but yeah, sometimes like your vocabulary is only as big as your button box. I like that.
Or your button box is only as big as your vocabulary.
We're just going to milk this button box thing. How many colors are in your button box? Oh my gosh, here we go. Okay.
Right. So I think that actually strangely leads us right where we want to go, which is um, you're writing something and it's more than a bunch of words on the page, right?
Mhm.
So you can have the best vocabulary in the world and string all those words together, and it can still not make sense or not have any meaning to anyone, even yourself. Um, so I think among the things that you and I really want to do for people as writers and authors is to craft work that is meaningful. And in finding that meaning, that is motivation to keep going.
Crafting work that is meaningful. Yeah, and in that meaning, yeah, motivation to keep going. So where we thought we would go today, and we actually talk about it a lot because there's a zillion ways you can talk about it. And it's about your engine room. We've I think we've covered the engine room, I don't know, maybe 4 times in here in different ways in this group. Um, but there's just so many things about it. So here's the context of it. We're in month 3 in our current Writer's Adventure cohort. We have had 1 retreat already. We have a boot camp coming up. We've had a boot camp. And at this stage in the game, we've been working through what we call the collecting stage. So collecting doesn't necessarily mean when you're writing, you've got an engine room. You might not, but you're literally collecting all your buttons. You're collecting a whole bunch of inspirations. And at our writing retreat, when we were together, one of the writers shared this story, and one of the other writers said, "Hey, is that in your book?" And the person said, "No." And Mary Beth and I looked at each other and went, "Well, that's an engine room. That story that you just said is actually an engine room." I'm gonna toss to you, Mary Beth. Take over. What happens?
So I think, back to the metaphor of buttons, the engine room is is the button that you can't wear your shirt without it or your jacket. Like it's that one critical piece that holds everything together. It's and it's also something that, when it falls off, you want to hold it in your hand and keep it because it's really special and important to you. It's maybe one small scene that everything else hangs on, and it keeps sort of repeating itself, maybe in different ways, but throughout your writing it just comes up and comes up and comes up and sort of gets right there to the core of your story, if I'm to use Tina language there.
I'd never thought of it that way, but around the repetitiveness of it, but you're totally right. It's if you I think when as we approach engine room in this conversation, what just kind of spoke to me was, how when you're watching a movie, there is the main theme of music, and when that theme plays again, you know that you're in the main thread of the story. And when someone's crafting the symphony, the score for a film, there's the love theme, there's the danger theme. And your engine room is like that repetitive theme that works its way through. And in connection to the story that we were talking about, this person, it's like it was actually their inciting event that brought them to the page. And it was a personal story, about a connection to a relative. But the way that that story was told, every time this person told it, everyone would lean in. And every emotion, every compelling emotion that was alive for the writer is likely the compelling emotions that need to be in the book, or that want to be in the book. And the aha moment that she had from that in that story is likely the aha moment that the whole book hinges on. So it's like all of the information of the whole book likely lives in that scene. And that's what makes it an engine room.
Right. So I guess, to start, the first step is sort of starting to pay attention to what you think other engine rooms might be or look like. Like when you're watching a movie or reading a book, like, okay, what's the one story that drove this writer to turn it into a whole book? What's the inspiration here? I guess that's a question you could ask. And it's a question you can ask of your own writing as well as you're writing. Like, what is that story that keeps coming up? What is the one powerful piece that you're just not willing to let go of?
Yep, because there's a lot of spokes that come out of that engine room, but that one piece starts it all or holds it all. Love that. And I also love your whole piece about if the button falls off, the whole thing falls apart too. Let's not go any further. I think let's just leave people, Mary Beth, with the question of the engine room. Because to me, it feels like we're pointing to what's compelling you to write, or what's compelling the reader to read. Yeah, that's where I am right now.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's a wrap, Tina.
All right. Well, we'll join you back here in a few more minutes, in 15 minutes, as we connect for our writing group on this Friday morning. If you're new to the Writer's Adventure, welcome. We're your weekly silent accountability club to keep writing. All right. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Bye.
Everybody.